For any of you who may wonder why we always seem surprised or get caught at a weird moment when we start these shows, it's because there's such a delay from when I hit the button that says go live to when it actually goes live.
Yeah.
I think it's part of the charm how all of us are just like, ah, and making goofy faces.
It's kind of like the beginning of those 90s shows like Full House, where they're like,
when the show starts.
And then they go, Karen.
That's also
I have an idea.
Such a weird opening to the podcast.
Yes,
hi, we're back, episode 4 at a different day and time. No, I don't know that this will be the normal. I think we'll probably at some point go back to whatever. Well, we don't really have a set time. We just happen to have been doing them on Tuesdays at whatever time. And today we were available Monday at 7, so we're here.
We're just going with the flow.
Yeah, we're going with the flow. We gave you enough notice. But hey, so we're back from the Stands episode 4. Still not canceled. Thanks for all that. Courtney, Jen. Oh, I can't. I right-clicked you and almost kicked you out. Did Danielle?
Hi.
Fair. Fair.
We're going to talk about the NWSL season as a whole, I guess. Just some general thoughts on the season. Talk a little bit about some of the information that came out about options and waiver wires and all that fun stuff. And as promised, talk a little bit more about the national team games since we really skimmed through them last show.
We really did.
So once again,
I've never heard of
watch the show, watch the chat. Hi, Star Killer. Thanks for checking in as always. Chat with us in the chat box. We will your questions and Star Killer. And those of you who were here last week, I do remember we had some questions from last week. We will get to them today.
And I promise I won't. I will try not to threaten to block anyone this week. I'll try.
So normally we would have started this show at the beginning of a season, so you would have got our thoughts of the season throughout the season. But since we didn't, we'll take a little bit of time now to just some general thoughts about the season as a whole. You can really, if any comment you want to make about like the parity of the league games, that like partnerships with Lifetime, stuff like that. Anything you want to talk about, fair play, kind of just general thoughts on the NWSL season as a whole. I'm gonna start with Danielle.
Damn it.
Because I knew you would say that. Damn it. So you win.
I think it was a kind of a unique, weird season. I feel like it was maybe, what's the phrase? Like phase 2 of the NWSL, if you will. We've grown up a little bit, as unpopular and as much as some people complained. We've made some big steps in terms of streaming, in terms of TV deals. Was it perfect? No, definitely not. But was Go 90 perfect? Definitely not. But I like the idea. And I never had a problem. So when I was other places, and I have Verizon, I streamed for free. So big fan. But I think the NWSL responded correctly. We streamed on there. The Lifetime deal, I think it was a good thing. Obviously 3:30 Eastern was not a good time slot, and we learned very quickly. But it was pretty cool to have TV games all season. So there was a lot of growth there, a lot to learn. Hopefully next season we take this information and go from there. So I think things like the streaming deal, like the Lifetime deal, showed that we are in phase 2. In terms of not to repeat myself, I think it was a unique season. I think that minus North Carolina and Portland, teams you thought would be good weren't necessarily as good. Teams you thought were going to be bad weren't necessarily as bad. And a lot kind of switched throughout the season. Boston started off strong and then got less strong. FCKC was, I think, as late as June in Sullivan Watch and made a run there at the end. So I think that it was a interesting season. I guess that's kind of a cop-out, but I wasn't bored. I'll say that.
Fair play. Karen.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat all of the things that she just said, but agree with all of it. And all of it. But also, I have to say the parity has gotten a lot better, especially this season. I think each season it's gotten progressively better, but like this season in particular, it took like a giant leap. And a lot of the teams were kind of like on the same skill level, even though we expected differently when we were going into the season. Especially at the end there, how we had like 3 different teams that were vying for that 4th spot. That was pretty epic. And Boston, I'm going to say this because we don't have any Boston fans, like Boston fans in our panel, but no, I'm not going to be mean to them. I actually am going to be like really nice because I think that they have especially made some strides, even though they still ended up like towards the bottom of the pack. As far as the way that the fans seem to be feeling about the team and the way that the actual like players on the team are feeling and the ownership and the coaching and all of that, I think that they're so much better than when we started out, when they were just like losing and everybody was like, oh, Boston's losing, and Boston was like, we're losing, and the fans were like, we just lost again, yay. And now it's like, even though they're like losing, but going, oh man, we could have gotten that. And like, they're actually like hyped about their team. And weirdly enough, I thought that was not going to be the case this season. I thought that I thought that team was going to be the team that like everybody was like meh about, and then like everybody who follows the team was about. But no, it turns out that the Spirit and Houston both dropped into that position. Sorry, Jen. It just seems like everybody who's a fan of those teams, the players on those teams, are just like, which I did not expect. And that's bad. That's something that I think needs to change in the off season for those 2 teams in particular. And also interesting, I was looking at like the attendance this season, and while it got better generally, some of the teams were like very like variable as far as attendance. Like some of the games were like very low, like disappointingly so, and some of the games were a lot higher than I thought they were going to be as far as attendance. I think there was one game that FC Casey, I don't know if she's frozen or if she's gone or what.
Oh,
She's still there?
well, sort of.
Okay. There was that one game that you guys had that there weren't a lot of people that were there, but it was the game that like there was that crazy weather, and then some people went home, and she working her phone to try and get yeah.
the phone ready in case
As long as she can still hear me, because I'm kind of talking to her. But there was that game that was, I guess there was like a weather thing, and they had to like push it off for like hours.
Oh God! Oh God!
What?
So
Hi guys.
that
was some Matrix shit right there. That was weird. Were like
It's fine. We're fine. We're cool.
And then you like turned purplish.
By the way, Karen, Star Killer said you're on the good list for saying nice things about Boston, so well done.
Cool, dude.
No, and I heard everything you said, Karen.
Okay, good.
Good.
I don't remember what game that was, the Kansas City game, but people were trying.
It was the Portland game.
Yeah, people were trying to dish on the team, but like, I mean, the fact that there were fans that even went back in the first place or were staying there all that time is a big deal. So, I mean, aside from games like that, I think attendance was probably honestly not as big of a jump as I wanted there to be. I mean, across the board, except for Portland, but they're Portland. So yeah, that's kind of disappointing. I was kind of hoping for more of that.
Sorry, my stomach is like growling. It is way past there. If anyone can hear that, I'm so sorry, but continue. I'm not trying to interrupt you at all. It's just like, feed me so late.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. So thanks, your stomach timed it well.
I'm going to ask some questions. Jen brought up the snacks. No, we're not sponsored by Nature Box, but they're really good.
But we could be sponsored by Nature Box.
Good. Before I get to myself and Jen, there's a couple questions. One for Karen, one for Danielle. I want to get to so I don't forget. Question. Also, hi Alyssa. A question for Danielle. If KC had A-Rod all season, do they make the playoffs? In your opinion?
Yes. I think that we didn't miss by much. I think we ended up finishing 6th, but we had a real shot there at the end. And so many games, I mean, so many of those games we lost by a goal. It wasn't, our defense definitely didn't lose those games for us. I think that A-Rod is so creative of a player that I really do think she would have made a difference. Because all we needed was 1 or 2 games to go the other direction. 1 or 2 games to get 3 points instead of 1 or even 0. I guess I shouldn't have said yes so strongly because all those teams were fighting, but I think that with that run at the end, I really think they would have.
And she had that one game, so sad, but like she had such a strong start to like the. I was so excited. I was like, yes, she's back in awesomeness. Oh no.
Yeah, and I think that just her presence would have helped. Players like Sydney. Sydney's talented, but I think she struggled at times during the season. I don't know if it was effort or she just. I don't know what it was. And I think that A-Rod definitely could have helped her with her play as well. I mean, we saw Sydney in that first match. So what was it? The 8th minute score a goal. So not only do I think A-Rod would score more, I think it would have helped Sydney. And like I said, 2 more goals throughout the season and KC could have been in the playoffs. So.
And Karen, the question for you was, what move would you make to add speed to what is a somewhat slow Seattle backline?
That is false. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually they're super slow. Who would I add? Like any player, I guess.
Just what move would you make to bolster, speed up that backline a little bit? That's kind of lacking in pace and whatnot.
Yeah. Damn.
I mean, Kendall Johnson. I don't know if Kendall Johnson's fast, but apparently she's. We'll get that. We'll get there, but no, we're going to talk about that. But
I mean, I think that Carson Pickett is pretty fast, and I think when Merritt Mathias was back there, she was faster than like Lou Barnes and Scott. But I do think that there needs to be someone of the like Kelly O'Hara caliber who, even if they're playing up a little bit more, because Seattle's wings like to play up more. Carson Pickett especially is always up there, and Mathias as well. So if we could get somebody who could play up, but then like get back fast enough, because that was a problem for Seattle. And Lou Barnes and Stott can't do everything. So I don't know who that player would be. I don't know who's even available, except, like you mentioned, Kendall Johnson. But I think we do need to maybe pack our back line with at least one person who's like super speedy, like Taylor Smith status speedy, like phew. I don't even know if I'm doing a good job answering this question, because
I mean, it's hard. You kind of got put on the spot, so I think considering you got thrown on the spot, you're doing all right.
I mean, put a faster player there. There you go. I mean, like I said, pretty fast already, I think. But there's something missing in the back line, and I don't know if it's like a communication with goalkeeper status type thing or what, but there's just something missing between Cop and that back line. I don't know what was going on there, but we had some really bad defensive games as far as marking. So I don't know if the speed is always the problem, because what we usually failed at was marking on set pieces. So there's a lot that needs to be fixed in the Seattle backline, and I'm just going to leave it at that because I'll let Laura Harvey handle it.
All right. Thoughts on the season?
What season?
All right. So there's Jen's thoughts on the season.
I mean,
are you gonna?
the season was canceled on Easter Sunday.
True.
Easter Sunday, we canceled it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was frustrating. I think it was frustrating for a multitude of reasons. We're a better team than what we showed, especially with the injuries. Like, the injuries just...
Yeah.
That was brutal. That was super brutal.
I mean, I feel like I could pull up the injured list on any given week, and it would be the entire Spirit roster.
Yeah.
And that's rough. No one's going to have a good season when you have that many injuries. It's just the way it is, because it not only affects who's playing for the team, but it also affects the mentality of the team. The other thing that I think was a big part affecting the mentality of the team is last season there was a lot of frustration with the Spirit ownership. And I think people were misdirecting that to the team as a whole. People were kind of blaming the Spirit organization for the actions or the comments or the thoughts of one person. And after so much of that, after dealing with that all season, I feel like the players, the fans, the front office staff that wasn't necessarily tied into those thoughts, it's gonna start to get to them a little bit, because you can only take so much for so long when you're like, we're trying, there's nothing we can do. So I think there were just a lot of variables this season, and I think next season will be a lot better. We've got a lot of players recovering. I know Joe Lohman has been having a phenomenal recovery. So I can't wait to see her get back in it next year. She is probably super frustrated that she had to miss basically this whole season. So she's going to be ready to go. Franny's going to be ready to go. We're going to have these players that have been itching to get back on there. So I think next year we're going to come out of the gates a lot stronger. But yeah, our entire season was just frustrating. Unless we played Sky Blue, then nobody was frustrated.
And then, I will agree with a lot of what everyone said. I'll speak a little bit to my, some frustrations, Again, this season was very entertaining to watch. As Danielle said, I wasn't bored, really. Like, all the games were, really good. I think when you watch the same players in the league for so many years, you become invested in them. So even if you're not necessarily invested in a team, you could become invested in players and want everyone to have a good season. And it sucked there were so many injuries, my gosh. But I think it was a very good season. I think it was entertaining for the most part. Just a couple of, questions, moving forward. I think there's still the question going on about, who NWSL teams should be marketing to. I think they don't necessarily know that yet, and I'd like to see more teams and the league itself figure that out moving forward. I also think the Lifetime deal, like Danielle said, progress, good that we're have a game on TV every week. Lifetime's kind of an odd channel to have them on, but that's fine. It's better than nothing, to be quite honest. And then I know there's going to be issues with Go90. They tried to fix it. My biggest issue is that prior to the season, we were told that we were going to have high definition streams for Go90, and that didn't ever happen. And that's one thing, even if the stream looked good on some TVs and some not, and computers or whatnot, I don't really think we ever got genuine high definition streams that we were promised before the season even started. So I think that's kind of the one area that I've always been a bit soured on, whether Go90 worked or not, even when it was working. Yeah, there were some good quality streams, but to say we're going to have, high definition streams, and then we didn't have high definition streams. I would have rather been pleasantly surprised at having high definition streams and then being told this is what you're going to have and then not. And I don't really know what happened with that there, but I'd like to see, considering where they're using like, I think Vista Link or whatever they're using like a actual provider and like they have more technology set up and things like that. I'd like to see it a little bit better quality, but I understand depending on where some teams are playing and things like that, not always possible, but I think my main issue is just that we were told this and then it didn't happen. So that's kind of my issue, but my biggest thing I'd like to see, just marketing wise and like sponsor wise and things like that, them get a little bit more of a head start on. I know that this deal was put together last minute, but it was like the week of the season starting and we didn't know what platform. It wasn't announced what platform the streaming games were going to be on. Like we didn't know that the week on like the Monday of the season started on like Friday or Saturday and we had no idea. Why am I losing my voice? I have no idea of that either, but I just would kind of like to see, thank you. I appreciate that they're putting together these deals and like broadcasting and anything in general, but would like to try and kind of see those things happen a little bit earlier in the future. That's kind of really my concerns, I guess. But overall, we're still having a season. People are still going. People are watching on TV. I think I read somewhere that the final had like 135,000 viewers, something like that. That's cool. That's people who who aren't there in addition to who's at the game. So that's pretty cool. So I would like to see couple things that we can tweak and work on, but other than that, I'm glad we still have a league and lots of talent, and that's awesome.
Yep.
So there's that. I wanted to ask questions, but we're already at 7:20.
Go.
We started late.
We started a little bit. We started like a minute or two late. Real quick, I'm gonna ask the question, Danielle, because I said that I would ask it.
I'm ready.
Move on to like kind of the NWSL lightning round. So there was a question, I didn't get to read it on air last week, but question about how you would feel about either the chances of, or if they did, or I guess if it was more like, how would you feel if Sporting KC bought, or the FC KC? What was the question?
I mean, it's complicated. Yeah.
Sorry, if that's wrong, let me know, but I think that was what the question was.
Okay. Well, I think that it's complicated for me. Sporting KC is my MLS team, so my complicated feelings are not because of them. If anyone follows me on Twitter and watched my meltdown over Sporting KC last night, I did not enjoy that game, but that's for a different show. So for an organization, I have nothing against Sporting buying us or whatever. But what I would love to see, and I don't think this is, I don't know if the MLS model is necessarily where it's at in our league. I think that, you have Portland where it obviously works, and then you got teams where it doesn't necessarily work. So if we're going to buy, a men's and women's team, I don't think MLS is necessarily. But again, in KC, it really is Sporting. My thoughts are, I know people are saying it sounds like it's going to happen. It sounds like it's don't. I've always believed that maybe we could do a partnership with them. Whether it's use a facility owned by them that's not Swamp Park, whether it's Sporting CM Park, or I think that technically they operate the U.S. development field there. So maybe a partnership would be being able to use the facility without having to pay rent. Maybe that's their ownership stake. Maybe it's, I don't know how it would work, but I would see them, my idea would be they would be more of a minority owner instead of full out buying us. But if it turned out that they bought us, I would be happy as well, because it showed that they have a commitment to soccer in Kansas City. They field a USL team, they field an MLS team, there's development leagues. There's been bad feelings between the two organizations in the past with other ownership groups. So it also showed that Sporting was willing to, turn over a new page, which would be really positive. So I'd be happy if it happened. I don't necessarily want it to happen in the full out capacity. I'm going around in circles and repeating myself, I realize. I'm happy as long as FCKC stays in Kansas City. So,
All right.
and I think it will. I think it will stay in KC. I could be wrong, but I am feeling like it will.
All right, NWSL lightning round. I'm going to read out the waiver wire list real quick. So things to talk about. Again, lightning round, so quickly, so we got to get to the national team. Well, I'm going to read the waiver wire, talk about that real quick. I know some of us have seen options that were extended, some of us have not. Anything you want to talk about regarding that and the waiver list I'm going to read. Also, in the mix too, someone asked last week, they heard Allie Long may be on her way out of Portland. I still haven't heard that anywhere. If you want to comment on that also, please do. But NWSL lightning round after I read this. So waiver wire, players who are waived, they can be claimed. They have until tomorrow, 1 p.m. to claim a player. Teams do. Mackenzie Berryhill from the Pride. Jocelyn Blankenship from the Pride. Kelly Conheeney from the Dash. Just going to say LSJ from Washington Spirit. I don't want to murder her name. Kendall Johnson, Colton Thorne, Natasha Kai, Sky Blue, Jordan O'Brien, Orlando Pride, Steph Oakes, North Carolina Courage. So most teams either announce that they are in contract, minus those players or players who have retired. Most people announce that they've either accepted options on most of their players or are in contract negotiations with most of the remaining players. So go, Danielle.
But what thoughts or like I just
thoughts on that, on Allie Long maybe leaving Portland. This is the lightning round. Whatever.
Okay. I got it. We're cool. I didn't hear the Allie Long rumor until I heard the question last week, and then I heard something basically saying that she's going to stay in Portland. I can't see. I think, in my uneducated opinion, I see Allie Long staying in Portland until she retires.
Right.
Other than that, the waiver wire didn't surprise me at all. Looking at the names, it's exactly, makes
Kendall
sense.
Johnson surprise you?
Kendall did, but sorry, Portland fans, other than the final and when we played KC, I really didn't watch a lot of Portland games, so I don't know how much Kendall Johnson played for them. Other than that, no real surprise. KC never waives people. I think Vlatko would rather sign every player because he just has way too much faith in everyone, and I love that about him.
All right, I'm gonna go to you.
Okay.
Good old Jen.
I'm sad about Natasha Kai, just because, like, we all saw that coming. I'm just sad I didn't get to see her play again. So, you know, there's that. It's more of a personal thing than I can't believe they wait. No, it's just personally, I was a big fan of hers growing up. So, like, I'm sad I don't get to see her play again. But, you know, regardless. Allie Long, I think she'll stay in Portland for now, but I wouldn't be shocked if she didn't. We've seen players go to Europe to develop their game. Allie Long already played in the French league once. I think she is a player who is always looking to develop her game. I wouldn't be shocked if somewhere down the line she said, hey, you know, maybe I'll give this another shot over in Europe. I think if she stays NWSL, you know, at some point, maybe she'll be used for a trade somewhere. But, you know, for the most part, I think she's going to stay in Portland. But really, she's going to do whatever is going to be best for her game. That's my opinion. Whatever betters her as a player, she's going to take that option.
Aaron.
You said Stephanie Oakes got waived?
Yep.
Huh.
Yep.
Maybe we could use her in our backline. No. I don't know. As far as Allie Long, I've heard so many things on both sides now since last week's episode when I hadn't heard anything and I was like, what? Since then, I've heard people going on one side saying, oh, she's definitely leaving. And I've heard people on the other side saying, she's not leaving. Most of those were Portland fans. But I don't know. She's probably not leaving. And it's just a lot of melodrama that's happening. Or the guy that owns Leon jerking our chains again, because he likes to do that. That guy's funny. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but also I just don't think that that's going to happen, at least not for 2018. As far as Seattle Reign, like Danielle said, we never waive people. Like, that very rarely happens. That's just not something that Harvey typically does. And I think it's not like a personal thing, even though in my insides I want to be like, it's because they're a family. But like, I think she just like genuinely feels that she needs those players. And I mean, she did a really good job building that team in the beginning, and she wants to keep those people, and I don't blame her. Because I don't know what would do without a player like Lauren Barnes or like Stott or something like that. Stott had a really good season. And so yeah, I guess that's my lightning round.
And I'll just say, I don't really have anything to say about Allie Long. I don't know if I've just been not on social media a lot recently. Still have not really seen anything about that except for on here. So that's fine. Looking at the waiver list, so I will say, she didn't really have logged that many minutes with the Courage, but I still just wish like Steph Oaks could catch a break. I really hope someone picks her up, but you know, you never know. I hope someone does. Kendall Johnson, again, I haven't watched a lot of Portland, but she seems like, I don't really know if something happened, if she didn't play a lot for Portland. There was a decline in her performance. I'm not really sure, but I actually am surprised to see her on that list, and I hope someone picks her up as well. Starkiller says, can't really see anyone getting picked up except maybe Oaks. I would say Oaks or Kendall Johnson, to be quite honest, but I guess we will find out. I'm a little bit sad that LSJ got waived for the Spirit. I mean, I know she's injured and had kind of a later season injury, but I don't know. I look at teams that, I guess I'm just going to use the Courage as an example, not any in a bias way, but who extended an option to, I don't want to screw up her last name, extended an option to Yuri Kawamura, who also had a season-ending injury, and Naomi is probably, I don't know where LSJ is in her recovery. I know Kawamura has started running again, which is always a good sign. So I don't know. I understand it's the business of the game, and like she's injured, and maybe she won't be able to make an appearance this season or next season for the Spirit. But it always just sucks when you see someone injured get waived, because like I can't really help that. So that kind of sucks, and I enjoyed watching her play for the Spirit. But other than that, Kendall Johnson's probably the big surprise there. I'm not even really surprised about Oaks, but I hope that either one of them get picked up, because I think that they still have a lot that they can contribute to the league. Okay. Again, sorry, I know I said we were going to spend more time talking about the national team, but we're just going to do like another quick little summary.
I don't know a national team.
Yeah. Two games went probably as one might expect them to go. I'll just get my thoughts out of the way real quick. I didn't really get the chance to watch much of either game, to be quite honest. Happy to see CMU is doing well in the next game. Happy and shocked to see Harris get the start, although I am kind of annoyed that, like, Alyssa Nair, I feel like, nothing against Alyssa Nair, but I feel like Alyssa Nair needs a break. I feel like she just needs a little bit of a break to just be cool. And then we gave her a whole game, and then gave the two keepers not a whole, like, each, like, a half a game. And honestly, like, Harris didn't really have much to do until she made that really awesome save, but she made a really awesome save, and I think that was something, maybe her confidence was a good confidence booster for her, and I would have liked for her to continue to play in the second half. But I think maybe it would have made more sense to give. I don't know what I would have thought would have made more sense, but I don't think it made sense to play Nair for a full game when she and she clearly just needs it, like right after everything, like so close to the season ending. I think she probably just needed a little bit of a break, but so is Ellis. Decisions, we'd always scratch our heads, but I'm glad to see Ertz still doing really well. That's great. But yeah, it's kind of the only thing that Ellis scratches my head a little bit. I scratch my head with her a little bit, but kind of what to be expected. And I'm glad I know I'm going to get so much hate from this people, but like not mad about Zerboni getting called up. Probably was a convenience thing. Like, not probably, but possibly it probably didn't hurt. I don't want to take anything away from Zerboni. She had a great season. Probably didn't hurt they were going to North Carolina. I don't know if she would have been called up if otherwise. Wouldn't have been mad about it though. I think she's a very polarizing player, but I think she worked her butt off this season and had a really good season. So like her or don't, that's fine, but I'm glad that she got a chance. You know, I was happy to see that. So I'm not happy that Pugh got injured for it to happen, but I was able to see people get more caps, especially people who I think work really hard and earn at least a chance to get out there and at least, you know, represent your team at least once. Who knows if anything will come from it, but I'm a fan. So we'll go to Karen. Karen.
Yeah. Cool. So the first game was actually a really like legitimately fun game. Neither of my parents really watch as often as I do, like ever. But if I turn it on, they'll like plop down and watch. But like both of them were like there, like, and I've never seen them do that before.
That again.
Just like that. Not really. But that was like a legitimately exciting game. Like both teams were playing really awesome, like textbook soccer. South Korea came out hard and we're playing really good soccer for like, man, like especially like in that second half, they really like turned it on. It was awesome. It was fun to watch that like crazy goal that happened I don't know any of the players on the South Korean team because I'm terrible, but whoever that was, she was like a brand new player and she was super young and she just like whipped the ball in from like outside of the box and it was sick. But yeah, that was like a legitimately fun game. And I know like a lot of people were unhappy with the US because it wasn't a clean sheet and because they felt that they should have scored more goals. But like I was happy as like somebody who likes watching soccer because it was a really good game. And then the second game was pretty much what I expected in that we ran away with it. I figured by playing in the first game and watching the footage and all of that stuff, they figured out what South Korea does, and they just completely like muzzled every single person on the South Korean team that could have potentially made a difference. They just like, they were just done. As far as the lineup that the US used, I thought it was very, I don't know, I thought Ellis did a good job. I agree with the goalkeeping part of it. I think that the goalkeeping, making the substitution at the middle of the game was kind of weird, especially because it was Ashlyn Harris who got the substitution and it wasn't like a Nair substitution, which would have made more sense to me. But the goalkeeping aside, I thought that Ellis did a really good job kind of just like going through the bench and getting people on. I thought that it was good that she rested Kelly O'Hara after that first game. I thought it was interesting that Huerta played in the back line, but she did a really good job. I was pretty impressed with Huerta on the back line. And as somebody who doesn't typically like Zerboni as a player, just because she's broken legs before and I have like I'm a bitter child about it, but she played a really good game when they subbed her in. Yes, whatever that day was when they subbed her in, she was solid. She was on top of it. I thought it was really funny because she was like really loud too, like as in like captain status loud, like telling people like what to do and stuff like that, and I thought it was funny. I was like, Zerboni, you're not the captain, but good job. So yeah, I thought she did a really good job. If this ends up being her only cap, at least she can go out saying like she did a good job. So that was good. And I guess that's it. I kind of expected the first game I didn't expect to be that close. The second game I figured that was gonna happen, and it was pretty tight watching Sam Ewis get all of those goals after she lost in that final. So yeah, that was cool.
Danielle.
I'll make it quick because we've been talking forever. First game, Nair shouldn't have started. She was injured. She's been injured. Rest her. Give Harris that cap. Give Campbell the second. 2, we shouldn't have been playing where we were. It was turf. It was crappy turf. I'm not saying that's why Pugh got injured, but you know, probably didn't help. Every time I saw somebody plant, I was terrified. Plus, it didn't fill it up, so it was a cash grab that backfired, and U.S. Soccer should be ashamed of themselves. That's basically it for the first game. Second game, I too am not a big fan of Zerboni. Karen has the broken legs. I have a stomp on the back that I'm still somewhat bitter about. But with that said, I was really happy she got called up because it means it's a league performance thing. From what I hear, she's a really nice person. She works hard. She deserves it. And it was nice in front of the Carey crowd because I know all North Carolina fans really like her. I think Campbell should have got the whole game with Harris having the one before. My biggest thing is everyone was playing so high up that I was overwhelmed with emotions because there were many times Becky was attacking and I don't know what to do with that information when it happens. And I forget words and I'm like, ah! So yeah, it was just, good game. I think that, South Korea is a good team. I'm not saying that they're not a quality opponent, but it's exactly how many goals I thought because you do have a lower ranked team who traveled across the world playing 2 games in just a couple days. I know they're all young, but gosh, that has to be so hard on them. So that's why I am not a fan of meaningless friendlies. So I guess that's my big thoughts.
I will say before I hand it over to Jen, thoughts as a player aside, I can vouch for the fact that Zerboni is genuinely a very nice.
Everyone loves her. Everyone loves her, so I'm happy.
You are genuinely an extremely wonderful human being. Don't have to agree with her playing style, but personally, a plus person. So still happy for her. And Jen.
I'm pretty sure Courtney makes me go last because I only ever say like 4 things. So I'm going to wrap this up real quick and live up to my expectations, which are very low.
So. That's not true. I always have high expectations of her.
Oh God, this is awkward.
Nah.
My favorite thing was when JJ went this way and the ball went this way.
Yeah.
That was my favorite thing from this whole little mini friendly series. My least favorite thing was when, for a minute there, Kay, I thought you were talking about the Denver Broncos, and I got really excited.
Yeah, I did too.
Right, Santa Clara?
Don't worry.
Clara.
Anyway, and my least favorite thing was when Jill Ellis said that there's such low quality outside backs that she doesn't know where to pull from.
That too. I wasn't bringing that up, but that's I've thought about it, and there's that.
Wait, she said that? I missed this. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, again, we're gonna in a wrap up. Yes, that was a quote. I think I saw it tweeted from Hal, who came out of retirement for like 2 games. Awesome! Shout out to Hal Kaiser, who's gonna hate that I said that. But
there's some off-the-air discussions we can have.
That's fine. Yep, that happened. But for the purpose of this, well, before we wrap it up real quick, Starkiller gave us some information. Apparently, Kendall Johnson, a lot of concussion issues. So I guess that actually is a big red flag for teams, maybe Portland as well. Thanks, Starkiller, for that tidbit. Sorry we went so long. We did start a little bit late, but we will. I don't know if we're going to do another show. We are going to do another show at some point. It may be a couple weeks.
As long as we're
maybe a couple weeks.
It's only like 2 or 3 weeks before Canada.
Oh yeah, there's Canada friendlies. Thanks, Danielle. We'll be back. If not next week, if there's something to talk about next week, we're not going to waste everyone's time. Come watch us talk about nothing, but we definitely will be back. No, maybe next week because the friendlies are like the 6th and the 7th. Yeah, well, maybe stay tuned. Follow us on social media. We'll let you know when we'll be back. We'll definitely be back. And since we've shafted the U.S. team on both these episodes that I said we're going to talk about them, we will do an episode that literally just talks about the national team before the Canada games. You heard it here first. Thanks for checking us out.
I love to hate the Canadians.
Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out with us, and good night.